Hey guys, welcome back. Today we've got chapters 3 and 4 of our Magic Treehouse book, number 19, Tigers at Twilight. Here we go. So chapter 3, Life or Death. Tigers, said Annie. Cool. Jack read more. A wild tiger eats almost 5,000 pounds of fresh raw meat a year. Oh, not so cool, said Annie. Jack went on. Tigers usually leave elephants alone. And like many smaller cats, tigers often avoid wild dogs. Teddy growled. Wild dogs, not a shrimp like you, Jack said to Teddy. A tiger would eat you in a minute. Teddy growled again. Just then, Ka and Ko began hooting. Coo, coo, coo! The peacocks cried, cock, cock! The smaller deer made barking sounds and stamped their hooves. What's going on? Said Annie. We better put Teddy in my pack, said Jack, to keep him safe. Jack slipped the dog into his pack. Teddy's head poked out of the top. All set? Jack asked the little dog. Teddy growled again. This time, a deep, fierce growl answered back. It seemed to surround them. Jack's hair stood on end. Yikes, said Annie. A tiger, said Jack. Arf, arf, Teddy barked. Ka and Ko screeched at Jack and Annie from their tree. They want us to join them, said Annie. Come on. She grabbed a branch and climbed up. Jack's hands were shaking as he put his backpack on. He grabbed a branch and pushed off the ground. He pulled himself into the tree. Another growl shook the forest. Oh, man, said Jack. Coo, coo, coo! The langurs climbed higher up the tree. Jack and Annie followed them, climbing from branch to branch. The sky above was no longer glowing. The bright orange had faded to a twilight gray. Jack looked down. He couldn't see the ground at all. He listened for another scary roar. Only the cries of frightened forest creatures filled the air. Maybe the tiger's gone, said Annie. Jack glanced at Ka and Ko. The langurs cuddled together. Their dark faces looked worried. And maybe not, said Jack. How can we get through the forest without running into him, said Annie. That's the problem, said Jack. And it's getting dark. Soon we won't be able to see anything. Ka and Ko hooted again. They pointed down the tree trunk. Arf, arf! Teddy barked from Jack's pack. Do they see the tiger? Jack asked, his heart thumping again. He couldn't see anything but leaves and branches. Then, far below, he saw the tree trunk move. A snake, said Annie. The snake was slithering around the trunk. It had black and tan markings. The snake's body was as thick as the tree trunk. A python, breathed Jack. The python kept curling up the tree trunk. Is it poisonous? Asked Annie. Jack pulled out their book. By the last light of the day, he found a picture of the python. He read aloud. The python is not a poisonous snake. Whew, said Annie. Not so fast, said Jack. He read more. To kill its prey, the python squeezes it to death, then swallows it whole. A python can swallow an animal the size of a full-grown deer. Oh, yuck, said Annie. This is more than just yuck, Annie, said Jack. This is life or death. Ka and Ko chattered at Jack and Annie. Not now, said Jack. We have to think. The langurs grabbed thick vines. They leaned back. Then they jumped out of the tree. So here at the bottom, you can see the python coming up the tree. There are the langurs, and then there's Jack and Annie. The langurs swung through the air like trapeze artists. They swung over bushes and tall grass and landed in another tree. They screeched at Jack and Annie and waved their arms. I know what they're saying, said Annie. They want us to copy them. Chapter 4, Swing Time. Annie grabbed a vine. Jack looked back at the python. The giant snake was still winding its way up the tree. It had almost reached their branch. Jack took a deep breath. Then he grabbed a vine too. Lean back like Ka and Ko did, said Annie. Jack and Annie leaned back. 1, 2, 3, go, said Annie. They swung out of the tree. Jack felt his stomach drop. Air rushed by. Leaves and branches slapped at him. Suddenly, the forest shook with a great roar. Like a flame, a tiger leaped up from the bushes. His yellow eyes blazed. His teeth shone like daggers. His claws barely missed Jack and Annie. Ah! They yelled. The tiger crashed back down into the bushes. Jack and Annie swung into the langer's tree. Jack threw one leg around the trunk. He let go of his vine and then held on tightly to a branch. "Oh, man," he said. He was in shock. The langurs patted him as if to make sure he was okay. "Wow, that was fun," said Annie, sitting on a big branch. "Fun? Are you nuts?" said Jack. "The swinging was fun," said Annie. The tiger was scary. Just then the tree began to shake. Branches snapped below. "Oh no," said Jack. "Can tigers climb trees?" asked Annie. "Probably," said Jack. He hugged the trunk and squeezed his eyes shut. From below came loud sounds of chewing, smacking, and crunching. Teddy growled. Jack groaned. "Now the tiger's eating the tree," he said. Annie burst into laughter. Ka and Co whooped as if they were laughing too. "Arf, arf," barked Teddy. "What?" said Jack, opening his eyes. "Look." Annie pointed at the twilight. A thick gray tube was waving in the air. "Another snake," said Jack, horrified. "No, an elephant trunk," said Annie. The trunk wiggled near Jack and Annie as if it were sniffing them. Then it picked leaves from the tree and disappeared. "Let's go see," said Annie. With Teddy still in his backpack, Jack followed Annie down to a lower branch. They peered out at the twilight forest. In the gray gloom, they saw a herd of elephants. One stood beneath their tree eating leaves. Others munched grass. "Hey, I've got a really cool idea," said Annie. So here they are up in the tree. There's Jack and Annie. And there's the elephant trunk. Chapter 5. We will do chapters 5 and 6 of our Magic Tree House Book 19, Tigers at Twilight, tomorrow. You guys have a great day. Love you. Miss you. Stay safe. Bye.